Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's Dina Calmette here. And for today's show, I do have quite a few headlines I'd like to share with you. And I specifically want to start with what is happening with censorship, surveillance, and AI. And I'd like to take you to this first report from Prophecy Newswatch. For years, Amazon has insisted its Alexa devices only listen when prompted by a wake word. But now the company appears ready to drop the charade entirely. It has announced plans to acquire Bee, a startup behind a new wearable AI bracelet that listens to and transcribes everything you say all day long. Yes, every word. Whether you're talking to your spouse, venting alone in the car, whispering in church, or brainstorming at work. The bracelet's AI is quietly documenting it all. No wake word, no permission, just endless listening. According to Bee CEO, the goal is to build a world where AI is truly personal. The bracelet doesn't store audio but creates a searchable real-time text transcript of your day. It even identifies and pulls out to-do items and calendar events from your everyday chatter. This is getting creepy, you guys. But it goes on to say that Amazon claims the deal isn't finalized yet, but their interest speaks volume. In today's AI arms race, the company knows that more personal data equals more powerful AI. And if AI is going to run your life, it wants every word you say to feed the machine. But at what cost? Well, here are 5 significant dangers this kind of technology brings and why we should all be concerned. Number 1, the end of verbal privacy. Spoken words have always had one saving grace. They disappear, but not anymore. With Bee and similar devices, every comment, confession, or offhand joke becomes a permanent record. Imagine a coworker wearing one in a meeting, or a friend recording your private conversation at dinner. If everyone owns a bracelet like this, no conversation is truly off the record. This doesn't just threaten privacy, it rewrites what privacy even means. In a world where every word is archived, even innocent remarks could be used against you in court later on, in the workplace, or in the court of public opinion. Number 2, consent becomes obsolete. We used to believe privacy was something you could opt into. Now your privacy might depend on whether the person next to you has opted out. If your friend is wearing Bee, you're being recorded too without your consent. There are no clear protections or social norms for this. How would you know if someone at church service, a counseling session, or a quiet cafe is silently transcribing your words? The very concept of opting out becomes meaningless when surveillance is happening by proximity, not by choice. Number 3, legal and ethical gray zones. The technology opens a legal minefield. What happens if Bee records a sensitive business discussion or captures attorney-client or doctor-patient conversations? Could courts subpoena your private speech? Could companies harvest it under vague productivity tool terms? Bee's AI turns audio into structured, searchable text. The transcript can be stored, hacked, sold, or demanded by governments. Legal safeguards haven't caught up yet, and the loopholes are big enough to drive a surveillance truck through it. Number 4, behavior modification through surveillance. When people know they're being watched, or in this case, listened to, they change. They speak less freely. They joke less, they self-censor, avoid controversial opinions, and filter their every word. The result? We become a society where people are no longer authentic, just edited versions of themselves performing for the algorithm. We risk creating a world where spontaneity dies, and every word is a calculated move to avoid misinterpretation or judgment. Even our internal monologue may have been curated if AI is listening when we talk to ourselves. It's not just your voice that's being analyzed, it's your soul. Think about that, you guys. For those of us that are Christians, if we were to wear one of those things, every word that we speak to God in our private chambers with our doors closed, somebody somewhere could be listening. Number 5, finally, corporate and government overreach. Perhaps the most disturbing danger is the inevitable abuse of power. Massive databases of speech transcripts are too tempting to resist. Tech companies will use them to train more addictive AI tools and target users with emotionally tailored ads. Governments will demand access for security purposes. Hackers will steal them, and somewhere in the fine print, you'll have given it all away. We've seen it before. Amazon's Ring shared video with police without warrants. Facebook manipulated users' emotions in secret tests. TikTok raised alarms about foreign influence. Now imagine a future where AI predicts what you'll say next, where it flags conversations as concerning, depressed, or non-compliant. This isn't just Big Brother watching, it's Big Brother interpreting. Amazon's move toward B is not a fluke. Other tech giants are sprinting down the same road. Google's Pixel Buds now feed audio to Gemini AI. Meta has a Ray-Ban glasses that watch and listen. Samsung, Apple, and OpenAI are racing to create seamless, always-on digital assistants that blend into your everyday life. Joni Eve's top-secret device for OpenAI is rumored to function like a pocket-sized AI companion, always learning, always listening. So what's next? AI that monitors your facial expressions in real time? Devices that read your tone, your heartbeat, your mood, and adjust your digital experience accordingly. And what point does personalization become predestination? We're not just building smarter machines. We're building silent judges. Big tech is listening. The real question is, will you speak up before it's too late? So very interesting article here, you guys, and kind of prophetic. We know that during the tribulation period, when the Antichrist and the false prophet are in power, they're going to be watching every single move that everyone makes. You know, there was a prophet and a pastor a few years ago, maybe in late 90s, early 2000s. And he had a dream, like a very detailed, long dream. And in the dream, he was shown some futuristic things. For instance, iPads. iPads hadn't come out just yet at that time. But he could see in his dream everybody looking at these little screens. Could have been an iPhone too, or an Android. And I believe he even mentioned that the TV sets could listen in or watch you per se. I have to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure he also mentioned that in his dream. But when they went to go round everybody up in the paddy wagon, those that had not taken the mark of the beast, they knew, whoever was in charge, the authorities, they knew where everyone was at. And he wondered, how could they have known where people were going to be? Well, TV sets were listening. iPads or iPhones, whatever he saw, those little screens that hadn't been manufactured yet when he had his dream, they provided, obviously now we know, our location. What else do some of us wear? Smartwatches. It all ties together. So bottom line, you guys, they make it seem cool to wear these new devices. And some of them are really helpful. I love my smartwatch. But this thing that records your conversations, that's creepy. And guaranteed, it has a location device. Not that it makes any difference. Our phones have the same thing. But anyway, let's see what else is happening in surveillance. Now, China, again, this comes from Prophecy News Watch. I'm not going to read the whole article. But in today's China, the cross is increasingly under attack, it says. Not just as a religious symbol, but as a defiant declaration that there is a king greater than the Communist Party. In churches across the nation, facial recognition cameras now line the walls, even at the pulpit, transforming sacred spaces into surveillance zones. What should be holy ground has become an extension of state power. And under the rule of the Chinese president, worship is no longer private. It's being watched, recorded, and weaponized. And what is going on in Mexico? Well, Prophecy Recon is reporting, as well as Reclaim the Net, Mexico is officially transitioning its optional ID system, the Unique Population Registration Code, or CURP, into a mandatory National Identification Program. The updated CERP will now feature biometric data such as fingerprints, iris scans, and photographs embedded with a QR code. The government anticipates full implementation by February of 2026, expanding the program's use beyond its traditional roles, such as tax filings, school registration, and passport applications, into a centralized biometric-based identification system. In tandem with this rollout, Mexico is launching a unified identity program to merge various government databases into a single integrated system. The initiative is set to go live within 90 days and will connect both public and private institutions. Again, Prophecy Recon's reporting that the TSA is moving forward with a sweeping $5.5 billion plan to reshape airport security, leaning heavily on privatized operations, biometric surveillance, and AI-powered screening technologies. A newly issued Request for Information, or RFI, reveals the agency's interest in partnering with private vendors to deliver fully integrated turnkey solutions combining staffing, facial recognition, digital ID systems, and AI-based threat detection. This marks a major expansion of TSA Screening Partnership Program, or SPP, previously limited to a few select airports, signaling a nationwide shift toward automation-heavy and surveillance-driven checkpoints. Now let's go over to Reclaim the Net, because they keep track of all of these type of surveillance headlines. And we're not going to read the whole story, but this report says explosive report urges Australia to regulate the internet at its core. Australia may soon face a sharp increase in government control over digital communication if the proposals outlined by Reset and Tech are adopted. So this is moving beyond individual content moderation and instead focuses on underlying architecture of online platforms. Reset Tech argues that features such as algorithm, platform design, and advertising models contribute to widespread harm and should be subject to regulatory control. Australia is getting kind of weird, you guys. And for those that are in Australia, please do leave a comment. And over at Reddit users in the UK are now being required to follow the UK's new digital ID laws and verify their age before accessing content deemed unsafe for minors. This follows a new state-imposed demand under the UK's new censorship law, the Online Safety Act. See, this is a good thing for minors. And they should have something like this on TikTok. Maybe they do. I'm not sure. There's a lot of crazy things over there. But this is the thing. It's saying Reddit users in the UK. That means everybody, you guys. They get to prove that they're over a certain age limit in order to use this platform. And again, it's a good thing for the minors, but this opens up a whole new can of worms because now the government can see when you go to Reddit, how often you go there, who you are. It's just more censorship, unfortunately. So what else is spying on us? After years of delay, Ring's much anticipated flying indoor security drone, the Always Home Cam, may finally be preparing for launch. Originally unveiled in 2020 with plans of a 2021 release, the device never made it to market. However, recent reports indicate that the Ring founder and the CEO has been personally testing the drone in his office and could soon release it in limited quantities. The compact drone, designed to fly on preset paths through a home, features obstacle avoidance and returns to a charging dock after each flight. Marketed as a solution for privacy homeowners, the drone offers remote interior surveillance through the Ring app, eliminating the need for multiple plug-in cameras throughout the home, and it's very cost-effective at $249.99. But again, anybody can hack into these things, you guys. Ring cameras are great. We have like 3 of them. But they recently just got hacked. That means that the person that hacked you can see everything that you're doing, whether you're home or you're not at home. And with this thing flying around the house, they can see everything. I'm just saying. But what about cockroaches? Yeah, you heard me right. Apparently, Germany is plotting their future of warfare with spy cockroaches, and of course AI robots. But just recently, I think it was China that made spy mosquitoes or spy bees. So they're using insects now, you guys. I know Germany saying that this is for war, but what's stopping them from using it for anything else? Reclaim the Net is reporting that California's robust privacy protections are facing a critical test as the Electronic Frontier Foundation, or EFF, and community advocates have pressed forward with a lawsuit to dismantle what they describe as an illegal and biased surveillance operation run by Sacramento's public electric utility. In a legal filing submitted last week, the EFF laid out evidence that the Sacramento Municipal Utility District, which serves more than 650,000 customers, has spent over a decade monitoring detailed home electricity data and funneling it to police without a warrant. The organization calls this an unconstitutional dragnet surveillance program that unlawfully invades household privacy on a massive scale. So this has been going on for a decade in Sacramento. And you know what? I'm going to leave links for you guys to go and check out these articles. Ireland's Justice Minister Jim O'Callaghan, who has already made headlines for advocating a backdoor to encrypted messaging, is now talking about advancing a broader set of surveillance expansions that signal a growing shift in state powers over digital privacy. So in protection of minors, O'Callaghan is supporting measures that would compel digital platforms to scan users' private files and photographs. He acknowledges that this would impinge on a right to privacy, but argues that such compromises are necessary. So basically, if you're online, they want to go through all your stuff. And the subtitle reads, and is so true, what begins as child protection quietly lays the groundwork for a permanent surveillance regime, and this is in Ireland. Meanwhile, American Airlines is accelerating its adoption of facial recognition systems with an eye toward easing congestion and modernizing passenger processing. The airline is bringing its biometric identity verification tools to more airports, positioning the move as a way to increase speed and convenience for travelers. I would like to also mention just briefly what China's been up to. Apparently, China is working to merge humans with machines as part of its ongoing efforts to compete in the AI race. The communist country is using brain-computer interface, or BCI technology, systems that allow for communication between the brain and an external device to augment human cognition and human-machine teaming. These include invasive, minimally invasive, and non-invasive BCIs, according to the Washington Times. So what is a BCI? Well, invasive BCIs involve surgery to implant electrodes into the brain, while non-invasive BCIs use sensors on the scalp to monitor brain activity. Meanwhile, minimally invasive BCIs involve implanting devices, but they do not penetrate brain tissue. Now, the US has primarily focused on building up language models to develop AI technology. However, China is going against traditional thinking about how to achieve artificial general intelligence, a type of AI that has the ability to perform as well or better than human being in cognitive tasks. So they're going the extra mile. But it goes on to say that additionally, Chinese state-run media have quoted statements saying that the future involves making AI a physical part of humans. In 2018, 2 technologists working on brain-inspired approaches to AI were also recruited by Chinese officials. So this is a form of, I guess, transhumanism. I'm not surprised with this with China. So we are seeing an aggressive growth of the beast-like technology, all in preparation for Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 through 18, where you will be required to have a mark on your right hand or on your forehead to buy or sell anything. And they're going to track down those people who do not have the mark and demand that they choose and make a decision between taking the mark and worshiping the beast or being beheaded. Revelation chapter 20, verse 4. So that's during the tribulation. We're not in the tribulation, we're in the birthing pains, but we are definitely seeing an aggressive move with the surveillance and the censorship and the wearable items, down to tracking your conversations, even your private conversations. Creepy and spooky at the same time. But let's move on and talk about some other headlines. TWZ is reporting that the United States is building container vaults to deploy U.S. nuclear bombs to remote bases. A high security vault concealed inside a standard 20-foot shipping container is in development to give U.S. military commanders a new way to safely store their nuclear weapons and other extremely sensitive assets, even at far-flung locations. Prototypes are set to be demonstrated at an upcoming gray flag test and evaluation exercise events that regularly feature new munitions and other advanced capabilities. For the U.S. Air Force in particular, the new mobile vault could fundamentally change the equation when it comes to integrating nuclear weapons into future operations involving forces dispersed across a broad area. Breitbart News is reporting that the North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, reported that it detected Russian military aircraft flying near the coast of Alaska this week. The command stated that the activity was not seen as a threat, but the flights do come in wake of President Trump's economic threats against Russia to end the war in Ukraine. We have seen a handful of other incidents with a similar detection in April. So obviously, Mr. Putin is not very happy with the United States right now, particularly President Trump, because although he says he wants to make peace, he's not really making any peace. In fact, he's become even more aggressive in recent weeks. Now, here's some news in regards to Thailand and Cambodia. Apparently, they had a conflict. Thailand has launched airstrikes on Cambodia military targets on Thursday as Cambodia fired rockets and artillery, with taking the lives of 11 civilians. Now, this is being reported as a dramatic escalation of a long-running border row between the two neighbors. The neighbors are locked in the bitter spat over an area known as the Emerald Triangle, where the borders of both countries and Laos meet, and which is home to several ancient temples. The squabble has dragged on for decades, flaring into military clashes more than 15 years ago, and again in May when a Cambodian soldier died during a firefight. So some heightened tensions between Thailand and Cambodia. Now, with that said, here are just a few other headlines from around the world. Flash floods destroyed villages, leaving 2 perishing and 10 missing in the Shandong province of China. There was a multi-vehicle crash reported during floods in Charleston in South Carolina. A cram fire in Oregon, that's where I'm at, you guys, nears 100,000 acres and has become the largest active wildfire in the United States. In Turkey, wildfire took the lives of 10 firefighters. There was a strong 6.3 earthquake in Indonesia. A 5.1 earthquake off Crete felt across western Greece. Cyprus wildfire took 2 lives, injures 14, as the blaze has spread across southern villages. Iran is facing the worst water crisis in a century. And finally, 7 shallow earthquakes struck near Randolph, New Jersey in under just 18 hours. So definitely a lot happening around the world, but I'd love to hear from all of you guys. So please do leave your comments below this video. When you have a free moment, come and visit me on my social media pages, as well as our website at www.cww7news.com. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed weekend, and until next time, stay safe.